Dark Reading News Desk at Black Hat USA 2025. Terry Sweeney here, contributing editor to Dark Reading, and joining me now on the stage is Peter Bryant, practice lead with Omdia. Peter, thanks so much for joining us on News Desk.
Thank you for having me.
We are talking about the channel and curious the major shifts that you may be seeing in how cybersecurity solutions get delivered through channel partners. How do these partners adapt to the evolving threat landscape on an ongoing basis like this?
Yeah, it's a lot the same, but a lot of change at the same time. So when you think about how the channel interacts with the cybersecurity market, 91% of all cybersecurity spend flows through the channel. So it's a very channel-heavy motion. What is changing is the dependent on professional services. So for every dollar spent on a product, there's $2 spent on services. And so the role of the channel partner is changing to make sure that they are supporting actively via their services motion that evolving threat landscape.
I imagine they'd also be, say, not the first line of defense, but the first call that maybe a customer is going to make when, let's say, things don't go to plan.
Well, exactly, because what you're seeing, if you look at the Omdia cybersecurity decision maker survey, what you have is the most diverse set of buyers you've ever seen before. And so they may not know exactly what's going on, but they know it's wrong. They depend on those 7 partners around every tech deal to make sure that they feel trust and security, and that's why they'll be the first port of call.
Right. In tandem, we're witnessing a significant evolution in partner-led security services. Something like security has historically been considered like the keys to the kingdom.
Yes.
Companies are loath to farm this out to any third party.
Yeah.
How are channel partners sort of overcoming this resistance? Is it because of the nature of threats? What combination of factors are they responding to there?
Well, I think the nature of threats definitely drives it. With everything that's going on with AI, agentic, generative, there is a huge increase in the volume of threats more than anything, as well as the complexity. But the approach of the partners is also changing to ensure they have more control of what they are doing. Because I would argue that one of the areas in which cybersecurity wasn't foundational was cloud transformation, right? There was so much business just around getting people to the cloud. They didn't have to bother with the revenues of cybersecurity. With agentic, that's not an option. Cybersecurity, you can't just forget about because there's this massive thing. Those diverse set of buyers that I mentioned earlier, they care a lot about it. And so cybersecurity is becoming that foundational tenet of those larger digital and business transformations that are being driven by this AI hype that we're going through at the moment.
So channel partners are developing their own IP and related security services. Yeah. Can you talk about some of the products or services that are generating the best margins for them?
Margins is always a tricky thing. It's the basis of everything that they do. I think historically they've relied on margins directly from their vendors, having debates of, oh, well, it's 15 or no, it should be 16. Actually, where they're shifting is platform. So if you look at some of the larger GSIs, they are shifting away from those large scale, massive custom engagements into a platform play to allow them to increase their margins, leverage those agentic training models that they have within their own businesses. Take one of the big 4 audit firms, for example. They have so much data and all the audits that they've done. Think of that as a training model, right? So there's that platform play, but also those professional services that are higher tier. So instead of just operating on a managed service basis, although to be fair, $92 billion of managed services revenue for cybersecurity partners this year.
Wow.
But it's aiming higher, those strategic advisory services, those with the higher margins that they are aiming to add on to the larger transformations that they are leading.
And do you feel that same sort of, I'll just call it AI frenzy among channel players?
Yes, in short. But I think there is a relief because it also drives home a lot of the messaging they've been doing for the past decade, which is your data is not as organized as it should be. It's not as secure as it should be. We've been telling you this for 10 years. Now it is impossible for us to move forward with this shiny new agentic AI tool without us getting the fundamentals and the basics correct and in order.
All right. Well, how is it that you see channel partners incorporating autonomous AI into their own security offerings, and what are some of the implementation challenges they're up against?
They are just trying to implement it into their day-to-day work. I think what you'll see is a kind of hierarchy that emerges. So when you think about the human labor force that these firms will be operating with, at the bottom you'll have that operational layer, which is going to be kind of 60-40 agentic agents into kind of human supervision and analysis. As you move up those tiers, you're going to see that shift change. So when you get to the top strategic advisory layer, it's probably going to be 80-20. It's still going to have that agentic automation, but primarily human-led. It depends on the value of the service that they are providing. Challenge, of course, being data privacy, keeping those walls up. How do you shift without compromising integral client data? You've got one trust that you can spend. Once it's gone for good.
Sure. Okay. And what about some of the implementation challenges?
I mean, it's deeply complex. I think a lot of end user buyers have not only been saying for 2 years that their company, no matter what it is, has been an AI first company. So they need results yesterday. And so results can't be measured in years, they have to be measured in months. But the technical challenge is getting access to the data in a safe and secure way to allow that to happen. That doesn't happen overnight. That requires a lot of technical expertise, and it requires a lot of effort manually from those partners as well.
All right. Global systems integrators are also increasingly positioning themselves as end-to-end security partners. How do they balance vendor-agnostic advisory services with the many strategic cybersecurity alliances?
It's a great question. Cybersecurity as a category has been one of the few bright sparks for these firms over the past couple of years. If you look at the growth of those top 20 GSIs, it's actually been slower than the wider SI market last year, and that's the second time that's happened in 5 years because they've become bloated and difficult to navigate. Particularly in cybersecurity, there's so much going on and so many different vendors, it's very difficult for them to choose the right strategy. I think the cybersecurity vendors that are going to have the best opportunity to integrate themselves is going to be playing well with those platforms. Now, from a GSI perspective, what responsibility do they have to stay vendor agnostic? It's very easy for them because they are able to white label it up front. So they can make those decisions internally because it's very rarely an enterprise customer's coming to them and going, we want to work with X vendor.
Sure.
They're relying on the expertise of that GSI to tell them where to go.
All right. Peter, I can't remember the last time that we addressed the channel as in any of the editions of News Desk. So thank you so much for the snapshot. It's really instrumental in seeing, especially with the rollout of AI. Thanks for joining us on News Desk.
Been a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
We've been talking with Peter Bryant of Omdia. This has been Terry Sweeney for the Dark Reading News Desk. Thanks for joining us for this segment. We'll see you next time.